Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest, the weekly national report on thoroughbred racing, is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Thrifty Car Rental. Thrifty is a lot of car rental company for incredibly little. By Lane's End Farm, sponsor of the Thoroughbred Digest Trainer of the Month Award. And by the Naira Net, the New York Racing Association simulcasting network.
And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln with this week's recap of the top stories in races this week in thoroughbred racing. We begin with a rematch of last fall's Breeders' Cup Distaff, with the nation's top two fillies, Bayakoa beating Gorgeous here in the stretch run at Gulfstream Park. This past Sunday, the rematch at Santa Anita, and it's our Breeders' Cup feature race of the week.
This week's feature race is brought to you by the Breeders' Cup, promoting racing year-round with the Breeders' Cup Budweiser Special Stakes Program, the new Premium Stakes Program, and Breeders' Cup Day, racing's $10 million championship.
The Santa Margarita, a Grade 1 event, $300,000 a mile and an eighth for fillies and mares. Let's take a look at the field now. Carita Tostada, 10-1, is on the rail with Sandy Holly. Kelly's scratched. Nakiska is scratched because of the sloppy racetrack. Then Robert Clay's outstanding filly, Gorgeous. Eddie Delahousie, strong second choice at 3-2. Rounding out the field, Luthier's Launch, the gray, at 15-1 with Alex Solis. Invited Guest was scratched. Then the supermare, Bayakoa, earner of $1.6 million, the richest active distaff earner, and certainly the favorite at 1-2 on the outside. Now for the call of the Santa Margarita, here's Trevor Denman.
Field sent on their way in the Santa Margarita. They all broke very smoothly. Luthier's Launch on the outside, Bayakoa and Gorgeous. Those three in a straight line as they go under the wire the first time. Carita Tostada drops back by 6 legs. They head to the 7/8 pole. Bayakoa going to go a little wide into that turn. Gorgeous going with her. Those two nose and nose up there. Luthier's Launch is showing much more speed than expected. She's only a length and a half off them. Another 8 back to Carita Tostada. 3/4 of a mile to go. Gorgeous on a tight rein down at the rail, and Bayakoa right alongside of her. These two going to go head and head throughout by the looks of it. Another 2 lengths back to Luthier's Launch, who's holding her own there in third. And now it's a big gap of 10 lengths back to Carita Tostada. 5/8 of a mile to go, and Bayakoa now kicks on with it. Chris McCarron allows her to go up and take a 3/4 of a length lead. Gorgeous is there in second, and now it's 3 back to Luthier's Launch. A half mile left to go in the Santa Margarita, and it's Bayakoa now drawing off. Bayakoa set sail for home, leads it by 2.5. Gorgeous. Luthier's Launch is running a big one and holding her own in third. They pass the 5/16 pole. Bayakoa by 2 lengths. Gorgeous is not done with yet, though. She's starting to come back at her on the outside at the top of the lane, and here's the match race we've been waiting for. Bayakoa leading it by 2. Gorgeous. Eddie Delahousie reaching for the whip. She's not finding, and Bayakoa is out there moving like a winner with an 1/8 of a mile to go. And here she comes in another one of these spectacular performances. What a mare this is. Bayakoa and Chris McCarron waltz home in the Santa Margarita.
Frank and Jan Whittam's supermare, Bayakoa. My consultant's bid out of R. Lucia, the Argentine bred, trained by Ron McElhenney, ridden by Chris McCarron, who described Bayakoa as the best horse he's ever ridden on an off track. McCarron, by the way, was in the iron still. Lafitte Pinkai still not ready to resume riding after his broken collarbone injury. Is expected back the next time Bayakoa returns to the track, and that could be in the big cap. Let's take another look at Bayakoa's 9th Grade 1 win, her 5th straight victory, as we go inside the daily racing form with John White and hear from Bayakoa's trainer, Ron McAnally.
Well, no surprises as they headed into the clubhouse turn. It was Bayakoa and Gorgeous. Gorgeous on the inside, Bayakoa on the outside. And that was the match race everyone had been looking forward to. And then as they turned for home, Bayakoa had a clear lead, but Gorgeous was still right there breathing down her neck. The thing was, as they came through the stretch, the match race everyone had been looking forward to really turned into a mismatch this time. Bayakoa just drew away, and it was really a good performance.
Ron, you were on the fence a little bit the past few days about going in here. There was talk of the Santa Anita Handicap. What was the rationale for actually going ahead full on and running today?
Actually, it wasn't until this morning we made up our mind, Mike, when I saw the rain and the track was sloppy. She loves this kind of track. We've only had the opportunity to once before, since she'd been in this country, to run her on this kind of a track, and she did the same thing. She won very handily.
Ron, the inevitable question, she won easy today, geared down. What about the big cap?
We'll just take a day at a time, see how she comes back, and if she eats up, and I'll talk to Chris to see how impressed he was with her and what he thinks and how easily she won and so forth.
Well, so they're definitely leaning towards the big cap, as Bayakoa received an automatic, by the way, eligibility for the big cap by winning the Santa Margarita, her second straight win in that stakes. When we come back, we'll be visiting one of the nation's top riders, Julie Crone, to get an update on her rehabilitation and also preview California's new thoroughbred sales facility, Barretts. Stay with us on the Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest.
It's just a pure and natural beer for you. So icy cold, so crisp, so clean for you.
Of all the beers that are cold filtered, only one has that distinctively clean, crisp taste. Budweiser, cold filtered and Beechwood aged for over 110 years.
This Bud's for you.
Lane's Inn Stallion Sire Classic winners. From their first crops, Sovereign Dancer and Sportin' Life, each sired classic winners. Sovereign Dancer, son of leading sire Northern Dancer, and the Bold Ruler mare Bold Princess, sired Preakness winner Gate Dancer. Sportin' Life, son of leading sire Nijinsky 2 out of Homespun by Roundtable, sired Belmont winner Bet Twice, and led the freshman sire list with his first crop. Sovereign Dancer and Sportin' Life, siring classic winners at Lane's Inn Farm for Sales, Kentucky.
Order Moore's Beer Battered Appetizers at your favorite restaurant or bar.
Come to Barretts for your future racing success. Our selection of March sale 2-year-olds is outstanding. A brand new auction facility, professional sales staff, and experienced consigners will make buying 2-year-olds in training an enjoyable experience. Join us for the official training preview, Saturday, March 3rd. Assure your future racing success. For information, contact Barretts.
With Julie Crone at Santa Anita on a park bench. Julie, it doesn't seem like I ought to see you on a bench. You ought to be on a horse. Everybody knows about the injury. Tell us how you're doing, when you'll be back riding.
Well, I feel fine. It's kind of a question that's asked repeatedly, and it's starting to drive me crazy. Everyone goes, how you feel? And I'm like, I feel great. My arm is broke. I feel great. I've been running about 4.5, 5 miles a day, and just like doing lots of sit-ups and a lot of little hiney tuckers to keep my hiney nice and firm. So the jockeys will have a good view when I get back.
Well, everybody heard about the accident. Relive that for us. What happened at the Meadowlands?
I was on a horse that was running, and I was perched up on him how jockeys do. And he just stopped, and I stayed perched, continued to stay perched until I hit the ground, and someone ran me over.
Well, everybody's been saying you'd be back by this time. Tell us what has happened, why the arm has not mended, what the treatment process is now.
Well, the arm, the bone graft didn't take, and I'm on the blue boot right now, or like a magnetic force, or something that stimulates the bone to heal and grow. And I'm hoping that it'll be what they say. They say it's anywhere from a 30 to 60-day miracle type thing, and it has a very, very high percentage rate, like 83 or 90%. And at this point, when they put my x-ray up 2 months ago and it was the exact same amount healed as it was when I broke it, you know, it's time to take another step. And that's the step we're in now. And I'm hoping to be back by the Derby.
Julie, let's make it a date, the first Saturday in May at Churchill Downs. While in California recently, we went out to Fairplex Park in Pomona to take a look at the new Barretts Equine Sales Complex. Now, since the old Hollywood Park Sales Pavilion was torn down before the 1984 Breeders' Cup, there's been a real need for a permanent first-class sales pavilion in Southern California, a need that Barretts president and general manager Jerry McMahon feels that they can fill.
Barretts is here because we felt that there was a need to showcase thoroughbred horses in a sales environment in a manner in California that hadn't been accomplished.
The Barretts Equine Auction Complex, built and financed by prominent California horseman Fred Sahadi, is located at Fairplex Park in Pomona, California, adjacent to the park's racetrack. Jerry McMahon gave us a tour of the 13.5-acre, $13 million facility.
We really put most of the early emphasis on this barn area in terms of a safe environment in which to both train and show horses properly, so that horsemen and women that come in here will see that there's been some attention to detail and that the horse was thought of number one, really, in this area. And then, of course, you move up to the sales pavilion itself, and we try to do the same thing for both horses and people in the sales pavilion.
And the sales pavilion really is the showpiece.
Yeah, I think so. It's at the front end of the property, and it's pretty dramatic, and, I think it's going to do the job for us.
Barretts breaks its maiden the day after the $1 million Santa Anita Handicap with its March 5th and 6th two-year-olds in training sale. Their first catalog features 298 thoroughbreds, such top-name consigners as Will Farish's Lanes Inn Farm in Kentucky. Barretts has some definite goals set for their California thoroughbred sales market.
I hope that we are able to attract new people to the business by bringing them into an environment which is professional, enjoyable, and bringing some of the sizzle back into the auction business out here.
When we come back, we'll head to the racetrack for this week's recap section. Stay with us.
Unless a first-time starter has outstanding credentials or is a standout in a weak field, it is difficult to recommend them. They win only 20 to 25% of the time and are usually overbet. They may not be worth the risk.
Learn more from the experts. Call 1-800-255-2001 for How to Win at Thoroughbred Racing, a video guide. That's 1-800-255-2001. Call now. Visa or MasterCard accepted.
This week on Speed Week at 11 o'clock Eastern Time Friday night, a complete wrap-up on all the activities at the Daytona 500. Speed Week, the motorsports coverage you deserve, Friday night at 11 o'clock Eastern Time.
Well, to start off our race recap of this week's top stakes events, we're going back to Santa Anita for Monday's feature on the grass. It's a mile and a half, $250,000 added, San Luis Obispo Handicap for 4-year-olds and up. Take a look at the action. Trapped on the rail, spotlighted there. Frankly Perfect, the 7-5 favorite. Winner of the Hollywood Turf Cup. Follow him along a bit more now. You'll see he's on the turn, jockey Chris McCarron, working now to get him to the outside. Front the leaders, Delegant and putting. Here's Trevor Denman.
At the top of the lane, Delegant at the rail, putting alongside of him. Live the Dreamers in there, Ransom on the grandstand side, and Frankly Perfect. Now these two coming strongly on the outside of the field. It's Ransom and Frankly Perfect coming at Delegant. Frankly Perfect is going best, and he gets the lead with 40 yards left to run. Frankly Perfect and Chris McCarron win the San Luis Obispo.
Frankly Perfect gets up and gives trainer Charlie Whittingham his first added money win of the 1990 Santa Anita meeting and his 8th San Luis Obispo. Frankly Perfect, a 5-year-old chestnut son in Perrault, owned by actor Sylvester Stallone, hockey great Wayne Gretzky, and his boss Bruce McNall, owner of the Los Angeles Kings hockey team in Suma Stables. One of 1989's top 2-year-olds, Slavic, made his 1990 debut as a 3-year-old last Thursday in a 1 1/16 allowance race at Gulfstream Park in Florida. The 2-5 favorite made his move from 4th place in the turn and cruised by leader Caro's cousin in the stretch. But then Slavic had to fend off the Eduardo Asperua trained Country Day in the final yards to get the win. The Danzig colt, ridden by last year's leading money-earning rider Jose Santos, trained by Scotty Schulhofer for owner William Perry. Slavic's next start will come in the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth Stakes on March 3rd at Gulfstream Park. Now, the Swanee River Handicap, the first of 2 turf features run at Gulfstream this past weekend. The Grade 3 mile and a 16th contest was for the fillies and mares, with the Tom Skipping-trained Fieldy sent off as the favorite. Let's pick up the call now. The Swanee River Handicap, track announcer Ross Morton.
Princess Mora getting away on the front and opening up by 2. Northling is second. And from far back, here comes Fieldy with a late run. A lot of ground to make up. Here's Princess Mora. Fieldy flying on the hedge. Fieldy coming on. Princess Mora. These two at the wire. A tight finish. Princess Mora and Fieldy. Then we came back to Northling third.
That big run, not quite enough for Fieldy. Beaten by a neck by Princess Mora in the Swanee River. The daughter of Big Burn out of the mare Maimora was ridden by Mike Gonzalez, trained by Jose Mendez. The next day at Gulfstream, the $100,000 Fort Lauderdale Handicap for 3-year-olds and up. The 2 favorites, Highland Springs and Wonderkin. They last met in Gulfstream's Appleton Handicap, where Highland Springs came out the winner. Could today be a different story? Let's go again to Ross Morton to find out.
As they come toward the top of the stretch, Wonderkin looming boldly on the outside. Vaguely double in between horses. Iron Courage takes the lead. Highland Springs now moving between horses. Through the stretch. In on the hedge, it's Iron Courage. Wonderkin with Jose Santos inching up and getting the lead by a neck at the wire.
Second choice Wonderkin proved he's second to no one in the Fort Lauderdale field with a length and 3/4 win over Iron Courage. The chestnut gelding is by Dewan out of the quadrangle mare Plum's Sister, trained by Richard O'Connell. Wonderkin ridden to victory by Jose Santos. Leaving Florida, we head up to New York now. Aqueduct for Saturday's $100,000 Whirlaway Breeders' Cup at 1 mile and a 16th. The Whirlaway was pretty much a 2-horse race from the beginning. D. Wayne Lucas trained Richard R. on the outside. Jim Tam Stables, a Corking Limerick, is on the rail. But in deep stretch, the race decided by Corking Limerick, pulling away from Richard R. for a 3 3/4 length win in the Whirlaway. Corking Limerick is a gray colt by Relaunch out of the mare Tats Showbiz, ridden by veteran George Velasquez. 3-year-old conditioned by trainer Ted Cazares. Sunday Stake, the Grade 3 Busher Breeders' Cup for 3-year-old fillies, was taken by a late runner in the closing yards of this race. Keep your eye on the rail as rider James Bruin in the red weaves My Girl Jenny inside of the horse in the black and yellow. Bad Gertie, and then flies up the rail to beat second-place finisher Highland Talk by a length. It was My Girl Janie's first added money win, and $59,000 winner's share more than doubled her career earnings. Daughter of Hostage out of the Buck Pass mare Sleep On It is trained by William Terrell for owner Hugh Keith. Aqueduct finished off the holiday weekend with the 16th running of the Grade 3 mile and an 8th Stymie Handicap. You saw Wonderkin win the Fort Lauderdale earlier. Well, his trainer, Richard O'Connell, also has one in here. His stable star, Aqueduct Handicap winner, Congalore. He's in the green and yellow, dueling with King Swan for the lead.
King Swan leads into the stretch by a head. Congalore comes on again on the rail. Gaining ground on the outside, it's Academic. Further out, Dual Elements looking for room is Silver Survivor. It's Academic on the outside, gets the lead. Congalore on the rail now second. King Swan dropping back. It's Academic leads clearly by a length and a half. And Congalore on the rail is second. It's Academic in front.
It's Academic wins his first race of 1990, and in doing so, pushes his career earnings to over $980,000, closing in on the prestigious $1 million mark. The 6-year-old son of Sauceboat out of the Arts and Letters mare After School, trained by Luis Barrera, ridden by George Velasquez. Got one late ad for you. Just results of a mistake run at Oaklawn Park on Monday. The Martha Washington. Take special note of this one because Classy Irene, owned by Cal Partee, trained by Lynn Whiting there, ridden by, of course, Pat Day, won her 5th straight victory. And she's a filly to be remembered now, Classy Irene. Also, the folks at Oaklawn, a bit giddy over their figures to this point, and they should be. Their attendance up 32% over 89 figures, 24% mutual handle up. They've had an outstanding meet. They outdrew Santa Anita this past weekend in total attendance figures. Well, we're going to come back with a look at another top Triple Crown candidate. You're looking at Mr. Frisky as he works on an off track at Santa Anita with, of course, an eye towards the Derby Trail.
Here's the last stop on our tour. The Fountain of Youth.
This one's on me.
How about an ice cold bud, young man?
I love this job.
Be a winner racing in Illinois. The state's Breeders' Fund program of more than $15.6 million annually provides incentives for all owners and breeders of Illinois-registered thoroughbreds. From special stallion owner bonuses and breeder awards to exclusive racing programs, including an average of 2 races daily for Illinois breds and a series of 30 lucrative stakes races. Be part of a winning thoroughbred breeding and racing program. Race in Illinois.
If you weren't part of the New York Racing Association's simulcasting network in 1989, here's some of what you missed.
The entry running 1-2. Dancing spree, seeking to go. Closing ground, proper reality to the wire. Open mind closing. Open mind on the outside. Gains the lead. It's New York's Easy Goer in front.
Don't miss out in 1990. Call us today.
In the glory days of Rome, Caesar entertained his guests with the most spectacular sporting events in all the empire. 2,000 years later, he still does. Caesar's Palace. Relive the legend.
Continuing our features on early 3-year-old Triple Crown contenders for 1990. You know, last week we had Summer Squall in the spotlight in Florida. Well, we're going to go to California now this week with a feature on Mr. Frisky from the barn of Hall of Fame trainer Las Brera. Mike Woolman takes a look at this undefeated colt.
It's been 14 years since Bold Forbes carried the hopes of Puerto Rico to victory in the Kentucky Derby. Now, trainer Las Brera is hoping the new Puerto Rican wonder, Mr. Frisky, can do likewise, and in so doing, give life to a stable that's fallen on lean times.
Yeah, I need at this moment horse like Mr. Frisky because most of the good horses I got being retired and some being given to some other trainers, and I think I had to be. I needed the horse to give me a shot on the arm, and I think I got it.
The most impressive thing about Mr. Frisky's 7-furlong win here on February 10th seemed to be the way he got the job done.
The owner showed up the day of the race and asked me how he'd acted in the morning. I said he was real quiet, and they said that to expect a different kind of horse in the afternoon, that he gets fired up and he acts like he's going to war. And I walked out of the jock's room, and he was kicking and squealing and just full of himself, and he was like that all the way to the starting gate. He's a professional racehorse. We got lucky and drew the outside where I didn't have to really be concerned about how he broke or anything, because he wasn't going to get any dirt in his face, whether he broke bad or not. And we were content. He did break a little bit slow, and we were content to lay off of the pace a little bit, and he paced him and was just absolutely galloping behind the front horses, Tarascon, and I thought Tarascon was the horse to beat that day, and we just clocked him until the 5/16 pole, and he went on with his business.
Mr. Frisky, the wonder horse from Puerto Rico, now gets the lead from Tarascon. A 16th of a mile to go. Mr. Frisky is going to keep his unbeaten record intact.
Unlike Bold Forbes, who used New York's Bayshore and Wood Memorial as Derby stepping stones, Mr. Frisky will remain in California, with his next stop being the 1-mile San Rafael.
I think I got a lot of race to pick up what I want to do. But I think horse don't going to run too many times. He already run 14 times. That's a lot of times. And I think run the 1 mile, and then he go to the Santa Anita Derby 1 mile and 8.
Mr. Frisky, 14-0, the pride of Puerto Rico. Now let's check this week's Triple Crown National Poll from Thoroughbred Racing Communications at the leaders heading towards the Kentucky Derby the first Saturday in May.
When I bite into a York peppermint patty, I get the sensation of cold, crisp mountain air as I soar in the championship ski jump. Ta-da!
Lovely. You win a silver.
Get the York sensation.
yellow shirt with these white stripes. Bill? What is it? Bill. Dad? What? Oh, my God.
Dad? Can you tell me where it hurts? Rate of 120. He's looking good.
The emergency medical services. Aren't you glad they're there? A public service message from Quantum Chemical Corporation.
Virgil Hill, the undefeated WBA light heavyweight champion, defends his title against David Vedder. Budweiser presents Top Rank Boxing, Sunday night at 9 Eastern, live on ESPN. When flying is the name of the game, and you don't have any wings, you better have all the right moves. It's World Cup Freestyle from Lake Placid, Friday night at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
We continue now on our search for the Lanes End Trainer of the Month for February. Here are some top performances from this past week. Ron McAnally adding his second Grade 1 win of the month with Bayakoa and taking Sunday's Santa Margarita. Charlie Whittingham, his first big stakes win of 90 with Frankly Perfect, winning Monday's San Luis Obispo. And Lawrence Murray saddled the winner of Monday's $200,000 General George. King's Nest winning there. The heavy favorite Dispersal ran fifth, beaten some 6 lengths in that. But now let's join Dave Johnson out at Santa Anita for this week's feature, Horse Talk.
Talking horses with Cliff Goodrich, who's the president of the Los Angeles Turf Club operating Santa Anita. Cliff, Santa Anita means something for people who live in Arcadia or the Valley or the Los Angeles area. But what do you tell people from around the country what it's like to go to the track here?
Well, I think it's a unique experience, Dave. I think people who've been here probably talk about the backdrop, the San Gabriel Mountains, and the beauty of the facility. It's 56 years old, and yet we always are trying to do some new things like the new turf course to keep it up to date. And I think it's one of the most beautiful racetracks in the world. At least that's what people tell us, and we plan on keeping it that way.
Presenting an outstanding skein of great races, and this season, an interesting highlight with Shoemaker's last day.
That was quite a day, and it really, I think, kind of carried the rest of the meeting because it was a grand day for us and a tribute to really a legend, and I think everybody that was here will never forget it.
What was your final attendance on that day?
64,573, probably 35,000 people more than we would have had otherwise.
And as you look forward, Cliff, what's happening in Southern California and for Santa Anita in particular?
Well, intertrack wagering has just taken off. We'll be up some 20% this season, sending our signal to Southern California. We will probably be up 100% in sending our signal to other states, and I think that's where the future of racing is, not just for Santa Anita, but for a lot of tracks, to get their signal to the people so that more people in America can enjoy this great sport.
Talking horses with Cliff Goodrich, president of the Los Angeles Turf Club, and we'll be talking more horses next week.
Big race we'll be covering for you this weekend, the Donn Handicap. Older horses in the spotlight at Gulfstream Park, and Summer Squalls to make his debut. And finally, a belated happy birthday wish to the great Hall of Fame rider and trainer, Johnny Longden, 83 last week. We'll see you next week. So long, everyone.
Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest, the weekly national report on thoroughbred racing, has been brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By the Breeders' Cup, racing's $10 million championship. By the Illinois Department of Agriculture, promoting Illinois registered horses year-round. And by Caesars Palace Las Vegas, relive the legend. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 700 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. Statistics courtesy of the Daily Racing Form.
On the outside, 3 of them across the track. And down the stretch they go.
Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest. The weekly national report on thoroughbred racing is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Thrifty Car Rental. Thrifty is a lot of car rental company for incredibly little. By Lanes End Farm, sponsor of the Thoroughbred Digest Trainer of the Month Award. And by the Naira Net, the New York Racing Association simulcasting network.
And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. We're glad to have you with us for our weekly recap of thoroughbred racing across the nation. Let's start with this past weekend's headline event. It's the Breeders' Cup Feature Race of the Week.
This week's feature race is brought to you by the Breeders' Cup, promoting racing year-round with the Breeders' Cup Budweiser Special Stakes Program, the new Premium Stakes Program, and Breeders' Cup Day, racing's $10 million championship.
The $200,000 Donn Handicap, the first big test of the year in the East for the older horses, the first Grade 1 race east of the Mississippi in 1990. Here's the field for the $200,000 guaranteed Donn Handicap at 1 1/8. Western Playboy, Blue Buckaroo, an entry at 7-2. Bowl Circle, big price there. Olay Atoka at 10-1. Continuing on with the field, Norquester, the second choice at 7-2. Primal, a big 3-2 favorite in this race. Wonderloaf, the 7-horse, was scratched. Rampart Road at 7-1. And the field is rounded out by Jerry Bailey riding Me Selecto at 4-1. Now the call to the Donn Handicap from Gulfstream. Here's track announcer Ross Morton.
They're off and running in the Donn Handicap. Olay Atocha is set up after the lead with the Norquester, both unhurried to the front end. Primal is third. Blue Buckaroo between horses. Me Selecto pushes up on the outside. Then we come back to Rampart Road. Western Playboy is in on the rail, and Bold Circle. They swing around the clubhouse turn with Olay Atocha holding the lead 3 parts of a length. Norquester is alongside a leisurely quarter, 23 4. A length back Primal running easy in third. Me Selected was alongside fourth. 3 to Blue Buckaroo, Western Playboy, Rampart Road, and Bold Circle. They move away up the backstretch. Olay Atocha and Norquester, these two battle on the front end. Length and a half. Me Selecto moving closer to the pace with Primal. The half and 47 3 as they approach the half-mile pole. 4 lengths back, Rampart Road, Western Playboy, Blue Buckaroo, and far back to Bold Circle. They move around the far turn. Olay Atocha by a neck, being pressured on the outside by Norquester. A length and a half. Me Selecto begins to drive a closer third. Primal is in on the rail fourth. 4 lengths to Rampart Road, Western Playboy, Blue Buckaroo, and the trailer Bold Circle. They went 3/4, 1:11 3 as they come toward the top of the stretch. Olay Atocha all out of the front end to hold off a challenge by Norquester. Ranging up on the outside, Primal in gear. Early fires going to the whip with 1/8 of a mile to go. Olay Atocha has quite a bit left to fight the challenge. Has it a length and a half, but roaring up on the outside. Here comes Primal. 70 yards to go. Olay Atocha. Primal coming on at the wire to get it by a head.
The favorite Primal gets up to win it. 1:50 the time, 1 1/8 on the fast track. Primal is by Maudlin out of Pearl, owned by Tartan Stable, trained by the veteran Jimmy Bracken, and ridden by another real veteran, Early Fires. Now for a closer look at the Donn, here's the Daily Racing Forum's Jack Smallwood, and we'll also hear from the winning rider-trainer team of Primal, Early Fires, and Jimmy Bracken.
Primal, who was ridden by Early Fires, were well placed early. Rowley approaching ahead of the stretch along the outside and wore down Olay Atocha in the closing stride. Olay Atocha was a surprise of the race. He was allowed to go off at odds of better than 10-1 despite having an excellent mile workout in 38 and change earlier in the week. If he had not been pressured by Norquester early, he may have pulled off the upset. As it was, he opened a clear lead in early stretch and just failed to last.
When I started moving and we got to run around the 3/8 pole, the horse that was laying for it died off, and I got to ease on the outside and got him moving because he runs just a little bit better on the outside, and he just went to running, picked him up, and here he comes.
Let's talk about future plans for Primal.
Well, we have the Gulfstream Park Handicap in mind, but I'm also thinking about the race in Hot Springs, the Oaklawn Park Handicap. It's a Grade 1, $500,000 race, and I'm thinking about that strongly.
Primal moving to the top of the handicap horses in the eastern part of the country. We've got some top news stories next, including a surprise from Maryland, so stay with us.
She's all ours.
Going into business, got something new. Gonna paint the town, red, white, and blue. I'm coming through this box.
Nice place. How about some customers?
Ladies' night.
Great place, guys. Who did your decorating?
Ali Sheba and Bet Twice. Over a 3-year period, they staged 9 dramatic duels on the track. And when they retired to Lane's End, they had earned almost $10 million and won 13 Grade 1 events between them. Ali Sheba, racing's all-time leading money winner and horse of the year. And Bet Twice, 14-length winner of the Belmont Stakes, 2 of racing's greatest competitors, standing at Lane's End Farm for Sales, Kentucky. Their first foals arrive in 1990.
Order Moore's Beer Battered Appetizers at your favorite restaurant or bar.
Thank you.
When Rich Little takes his show on the road, Thrifty is the rental car he puts it all in.
Hey, I save money and I get respect at Thrifty. Thrifty rates are guaranteed worldwide.
Enjoy luxury and savings. Rent a new Chrysler 5th Avenue with unlimited mileage, just $36.95 a day. 72-hour advance reservation required.
That's the way it is. Thrifty, lot of car rental company.
For incredibly little.
We
call 1-800-4CARS.
Let's take a look now at some of the headline news stories in thoroughbred racing this past week. From Maryland, quite a surprise. An announcement this past weekend that Tom and Bob Manfuso have decided to withdraw from the active management team of the Laurel and Pimlico tracks, now headed by Joe DeFrancis. The Manfusos, who've drawn praise from horsemen around the nation for their active role in bringing Maryland racing back, will remain the major owners of the tracks after they step down from the management team following the May 19th Preakness at Pimlico. Well, one of the nation's veteran handicap stars, the 6-year-old Crypto Clearance, owned by Chicago businessman Phil Tynowitz, has been retired to stud at Ben Walden Jr.'s Dearborn Vinery Farm after suffering a career-ending ligament injury on February 18th while training for the Donn Handicap. The Donn, a year ago, Crypto Clearance showed his patented late run that made him such a success. This Keeneland sales yearling of $190,000 would go on to win $3.3 million, the third active money earner, the 11th on the all-time list. He won stakes at 3, 4, and 5, including 4 Grade 1 stakes races. He'll stand for a fee of $15,000 live full guarantee. The son of Fabiano out of the Hoist the Flag winning daughter Naval Orange. An update now on one of our classic contender features, Dogwood Stable's top 3-year-old Summer Squall. Well, he was scheduled to start his 1990 campaign this past Sunday in the Deputy Minister Stake at Gulfstream Park. But that was canceled after the undefeated colt had severe respiratory bleeding after a February 21st workout. We visited this weekend in Florida with trainer Neil Howard and owner Cott Campbell. They say now they're pointing Summer Squall towards the March 17th Swale Stakes on works alone, a perfect 5 for 5 at 2. Summer Squall has not run since the Hopeful Stakes last August in Saratoga after a cannon bone injury. Oklahoma's Remington Park has made racing history. The Edward DeBartolo Showplace in Oklahoma City is in its second full year of operation, and last Saturday had the richest Pick 6 payoff in North American racing history. One woman from Arlington, Texas, had the single winning ticket that paid $1,070,482.40. Her ticket with the individual race payoffs looked like this, races 3 through 8. She had the number 11 horse in the first race for $14.60. The 1 horse returned $7.20. Then a $20.40 payoff with a 10 horse. Then she ended with 2 horses, $22.20, $28.40, and $7.40. Those numbers added up to, again, the largest Pick 6 payoff in North American racing history. Last Saturday's crowd, by the way, at Remington, more than 23,000, but a new Remington Park record, $2.8 million. An update on top jockey Julie Crone. That electromagnetic treatment she told us about that she hoped would repair her broken left arm has not worked. So Julie will undergo a second operation on March 8th to graft bone from her hip onto the big bone in her forearm. If successful, she could be back to the races by June. Well, let's get back now to the races as we start our race recap with a Grade 1 event at Santa Anita, the $125,000 Las Virgenes for fillies and mares going a mile. In the clubhouse turn, the favorite, Fit to Scalp, doesn't look like she's having a very smooth trip behind horses. Well, things don't get any better as she enters the far turn. She's within a half length of the lead when the front runner, Heaven Forbid, and Pat Valenzuela slide over and shuts the door on her. Well, coming up on the outside in the red and blue is jockey Alex Solis on Cheval Volant.
5/16 to go, NASA's Pride.
Cheval Volant, heaven forbid. Fit to Scout was in tight quarters there and had a drop back. On the outside, Brought to Mind is in with a fighting chance. Bright Candles just needs room. At the top of the lane now, and Brought to Mind on the grandstand side. Cheval Volant. Bright Candles in the white is looking to room. Fit to Scout can't get through. They have an eighth of a mile to go. Cheval Volant is now in front. It's Cheval Volant, Bright Candles, Nassau's Pride down at the rail. Cheval Volant hanging on to it. It's going to be Cheval Volant and Alex Solis to win the last Virgin.
Cheval Volant takes advantage of Fit to Scout's trouble trip and posts a 3/4 length win over Nassau's Pride. Cheval Volant is by Chris S. out of the mare Flight, trained and partially owned by Kenny Jumps. Her next start scheduled to be the Santa Anita Oaks on March 17th. While the 3-year-olds ran in last Wednesday's feature at Santa Anita, the 6-furlong Bolsa Chica Stakes. The Bobby Frankel trainee Burnt Hills, fourth in the red, white, and blue, is co-favored with the D. Wayne Lucas entry of Real Cash and Top Cash. But the horse in the goal, Chantineau, leads them for home as they pick up the call from Trevor Denman.
Quarter of a mile to go. Chantineau gets the lead. Real Cash down at the rail. On the outside, Keep Clear is in third. Then comes Burnt Hills. They race down to the 8-fold. Chantineau, Keep Clear. Burnt Hills on the outside. These three fighting it out. Burnt Hills on the grandstand side. Chantineau at the rail and Keep Clear between them. Chantineau at the rail and Burnt Hills. Now it's down to these two. Chantineau, Burnt Hills at the wire. Burnt Hill wins it by a head.
Burnt Hills manages to get the win in the Bolsa Chica. The son of Conquistador Cielo, Burnt Hills is trained by Bobby Frankel and ridden by Eddie De La Houssaye. We'll stay out west now for one more race, this time in Arizona's Turf Paradise for its biggest stake, the Grade 3 Phoenix Gold Cup. Leading the field as they turn for home, the favorite at 1-5 Olympic prospect in the light blue silks without regular rider Alex Solis. Here's the call from Bob Weems.
It's Pharaoh on the outside, holding the inside Olympic prospect. Pharaoh now getting the lead. Pharaoh now drawing out by a length and a half. Olympic prospect with Jay Zack on the outside. Master Dad closing with a fold rush. It's Pharaoh and Master Dad.
42-1 long shot Master Dad gets up in deep stretch to win the $100,000 Phoenix Gold Cup by a head. Favorite Olympic prospect was 7th. Master Dad trained by Danny Hunsaker, the 6-year-old son of Full Pocket, ridden by Alfredo Guerrero. Speaking of multiple stakes winner Full Pocket, a stakes race in his honor was run at Sportsman's Park in Cicero, Illinois this past Saturday. The $50,000 6-furlong race, an easy win for Carl Dykma's One Little Hustler, who crossed the wire 4.5 lengths in front of the second-place finisher Can't Buy a Thrill. By Soy Numero Uno out of the mare Hustlin' Honey. One Little Hustler was bred in Illinois by his owner. The 3-year-old colt is trained by William Adams and was ridden by Juvenal Diaz. When we come back, we'll go to the site of that $1 million Pick-6 payoff, Remington Park in Oklahoma, for the middle leg of the Remington Park Derby Series. Stay with us.
Unless a first-time starter has outstanding credentials or is a standout in a weak field, it is difficult to recommend them. They win only 20 to 25% of the time and are usually overbet. They may not be worth the risk.
Learn more from the experts. Call 1-800-255-2001 for How to Win at Thoroughbred Racing, a video guide. That's 1-800-255-2001. Call now. Visa or MasterCard accepted.
The wheels are in motion. The drivers are back on track. The NASCAR thrills begin at ESPN's first race of the season, the Good Ranch 500, Sunday at noon Eastern, live on ESPN.
Welcome back to the Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest Show. We'll take you now to the pride of Oklahoma, Remington Park, the second running of the mile and 70-yard Great West Stakes, the middle of their 3-race series, capped off by March 17th's $250,000 Remington Park Derby here on ESPN. George Velasquez and Count Fleet Stakes winner Dot Cerro are down from New York. They're dropping way back, though. We pick up the call from track announcer Jim Byers.
Burned Resolution leads it. Curse drops back along the inside. Here's Spunky Rascal with Lord Rickles looming up on the outside. Spunky Rascal leads it, then Lord Rickles. Native Cat Dance is flying on the far outside. It's Spunky Rascal, Lord Rickles. Native Cat Dance on the far outside. Spunky Rascal and Native Cat Dance coming to the wire now. Spunky Rascal, the inside, has the lead, and Spunky Rascal and Dale Cordova win the Great West.
It's a victory apiece now between Great West winners Spunky Rascal and Budweiser Stakes winner Native Cat Dance in the Remington Park Derby Series. Spunky Rascal is a Devil's Bag colt of the mare Polly Rule, ridden by Dale Cordova, the trainer Chuck Talaferro. New York Invader Dotsero was last. Across the state line now to Arkansas and Oaklawn as the 3-year-olds there begin their trip towards the Arkansas Derby. It's the 51st running of the 6-furlong Mountain Valley. Here's Terry Wallace.
It's Karen's Tom leading it by 2. Bull Pocket is second. North Waco is third with a furlong to go. Karen's Tom, Pate looking around for Bull Pocket. He's still giving him a hand ride. Karen's Tom now, here's Bull Pocket going to make a run at him. But Karen's Tom is strong, and he's going to take some whipping, but it's Karen's Tom who's going to prevail in the Mountain Valley.
Oaklawn's perennial riding champion Pat Day decides to get after Karen's Tom in the final furlong to keep the son of Jen Estrelli in front by a neck. He was purchased the '88 Keeneland September sale for $18,000 by owner Charles Randolph. Karen's Tom is trained by Lynn Whiting, who also conditions the undefeated filly Classy Irene. To wrap up this week's recap, we head back down to Florida, this time to Tampa Bay Downs. It's the mile and a 16th Tampa Bay Budweiser Breeders' Cup. In the stretch, Tour d'Or on the outside in the red tried to run down the favorite Majesty's Imp, but the Sturgis DuQuoin trainee would have no part of it and draws away for a 2.5 length victory. Majesty's Imp is by His Majesty out of the mare DJ Imp and was ridden to victory in the $75,000 Tampa Bay Budweiser Breeders' Cup by Ricardo Lopez. Well, when we come back, we'll continue our series of previewing the nation's top Triple Crown hopefuls. This week, it's Rokeby Stables' unbeaten Red Ransom.
Here's the last stop on our tour. The Fountain of Youth.
This one's on me.
How about a nice cold bud, young man?
I love this job.
Illinois thoroughbreds are on a fast track. Since 1981, more than $107.1 million have been won by Illinois registered thoroughbreds racing in the state. The world's finest racing facility, the new Arlington International, is a shining symbol of the present and future for thoroughbreds racing in Illinois. In 1988, state-bred horses earned over $15.6 million from the Illinois Fund, administered by the Department of Agriculture horse racing programs. Race on the fast track. Race in Illinois.
If you weren't part of the New York Racing Association's simulcasting network in 1989, here's some of what you missed.
The entry running 1-2. Dancing spree, seeking to go. Closing ground, proper reality to the wire. Open mind closing. Open mind on the outside. Gains the lead. It's New York's Easy Goer in front.
Don't miss out in 1990. Call us today.
During the golden age of Rome, Caesar treated his guests to magical evenings. 2,000 years later, he still does. Caesar's Palace. Relive the legend.
We're just over 2 months away now from the new decade's first Kentucky Derby and the start of the 1990 Triple Crown Series. And we have another top contender for you to showcase in this continuing series of classic hopefuls. On the show, we're going to be talking about Red Ransom. Now, race fans in Florida were anxiously awaiting his sophomore debut, scheduled for this past Saturday at Gulfstream Park, but he was scratched right before the race, bringing a chorus of boos from the grandstand. We asked the well-respected trainer Mac Miller why his colt didn't run.
I scratched the horse because he had worked too quick on Wednesday. And I'm so damned old-fashioned that I couldn't possibly run on Saturday, having gone as fast as he did on Wednesday.
Mac, you know better than anybody, time is running out, though.
Yes, it is. and I'm aware of that. But I'm going to hang in for a while, and when I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to walk out.
Right now, everybody is just waiting for this bay colt named Red Ransom to walk into a starting gate and race for the first time as a 3-year-old. His 1990 debut has been rescheduled for an allowance race at Gulfstream this Saturday, and then the Swale Stakes on Florida Derby Day the 17th of March. But why such excitement about a colt with just 2 career starts who has not raced since a shin problem last August?
Well, I think it started at Saratoga when he ran 5/8 of a mile, set a track record, which he was not supposed to do because his pedigree doesn't indicate that. He's by Roberto out of a Damascus mare. I do like him. I don't know how much quality he's got and won't for a while. But a lovely horse to be around.
Mac Miller and Rokeby Stables owner Paul Mellon are among racing's most conservative. But it was Mr. Mellon who made the decision in December to go for the Triple Crown of 1990. And he also made the decision to make a rider change this past week from Randy Romero to multiple Eclipse Award winner Pat Day. Miller, the 68-year-old Hall of Famer who prefers racing in the late summer and fall, has been a trainer since 1949. In all that time, he has had only 1 starter in the Kentucky Derby when Jig Time ran 6th in 1968. Now he knows Red Ransom has potential, but
these horses have a bad habit of getting hurt or some terrible happen to you, and attrition is going to reduce the field some, I think. I hope I'm not one of them. But in all seriousness, I hope that I can get to the Derby and without killing him. And as I say, if I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to go home because we have a good summer of racing. The best racing, of course, as you know, is from August 1 to November 1. You know about that.
All right, Mac, and as we go to the break, let's check this week's Thoroughbred Racing Communications Triple Crown poll. You note the unraced Red Ransom is number 6 this week in the Triple Crown poll.
Get ready for a special Sports Illustrated sneak preview.
It's unreal. The man, it's like he's from another planet.
You never know what he's going to do. He doesn't even know. He just does it, and you're like,
duh. They just saw an amazing video cassette presented by Sports Illustrated, starring the most exciting figure in sports today.
Who else? Jordan.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Michael Jordan, Come Fly With Me 1990. Over 40 minutes of the game's ultimate playmaker. Yours free with your paid subscription to SI.
Yes!
Call toll-free and get 26 issues of SI at over 45% off the cover price.
I didn't realize you could save that much.
Including SI's blockbuster baseball preview, the giant 35th anniversary covers issue, and the red hot swimsuit issue.
So what's the catch?
No catch. You get it all for just 3 monthly installments of $12.97 each. Even use your credit card.
Golden. Let's do it.
Save over 45% and get the Jordan video free.
You're going to be giving away a lot of these babies, starting right here.
It's up and away for these top skiers. World Cup Freestyle. It's exciting to watch, but don't try this at home. Friday night at 8 Eastern, only on ESPN.
Lane's Inn Farm is proud to announce its selection of our February Trainer of the Month award winner, and it's Oaklawn Park-based Lynn Whiting. Lynn won 2 stakes in February at the Spa Track at Hot Springs, Arkansas. We'll have a feature profile on Lynn Whiting, the February Lane's Inn Trainer of the Month award winner. Well, now let's catch up with Dave Johnson and his guest this week. It's time for Horse Talk.
Talking horses with apprentice jockey Corey Nakatani, who was runner-up in Eclipse balloting in '89. We're here at Santa Anita, Corey, and it's an interesting place in your family history.
Yeah, it is. Well, my dad, when he was born, it was in Colorado, and he was in a camp. And then...
Your father is Japanese?
Yeah, my dad's Japanese, and both of my grandparents are Japanese. And when the war was going on, they were sent to Santa Anita, and they were here in the camp. And then after that, they got out of the camp, and my dad met my mom, and they got married, and then they...
Stayed in Southern California?
Yeah, they stayed in Southern California, in Covina. And ever since then, my dad, he's always liked the horses, and he drives for RTD, you know, and he just comes to the races.
And one day he brought you?
Yeah, he did. He brought me in the morning to a workout. And I talked to a few trainers, and I didn't know them, but, you know, I was just real friendly to them, and they told me, you know, it's my size and everything. I'm real small and I'm built pretty strong. And so they said, well, you just give it a shot. And so I went to a farm, Tony Matos, my agent's farm. And then I worked for him, and now he works for me. It's just weird.
And you were a wrestler in high school?
Yeah, I was wrestling at Northview, and my freshman year, I only wrestled the 1 year, and I made varsity. And I win a lot of, I was 35-5, so I win a lot. From that, you get like a competitive-ship in you, and this is the same way. You're friends with everybody, but when you get to the racetrack, it's a different story. You're real competitive.
But now you're wrestling thoroughbreds, and you've done pretty well over the last year or so. Now, in 1990, as we look to the rest of the year, what's going to happen?
Well, in a few months here, I lose the bug, and then I still have my goals. I want to, you know, win a Kentucky Derby and be a leading rider out here in Southern California. I think I got the talent. I just, you know, need a break, and that's just got to be at the right place at the right time. Now I have some pretty good trainers behind me too, like Henry Marino, and I ride a lot of horses for him, and he's gonna ride me after the bug, he said. So I take his word, and I hope I do real good.
Talking horses, being at the right place at the right time. This time with Corey Nakatani. We'll be somewhere else with someone else talking horses next week.
Well, the racing spotlight will be on California this weekend, the $1 million Santa Anita Handicap. By the way, jockey Lafitte Pincay Jr. is back in the irons and has broken one of Bill Shoemaker's records at Santa Anita. Rode 2 winners on Sunday, now 2,545 winners at that track. And Hollywood Parks announced a Hollywood Gold Cup. Purse been doubled from $500,000 to $1 million. That gives them the only 2 $1 million races at a racetrack in North America. Well, on a sad note, trainer Patrick Collins died this past week of complications from a serious car accident near the Payson Park Training Center in Stuart, Florida. The 40-year-old Collins, a native of Ireland, is seen here with one of his top stakes winners, Grenakis, winner of the 1988 Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. Patrick Collins served as the racing secretary in Canada at the Ontario Jockey Club, then a successful bloodstock agent for the past 6 years as a trainer. Racing has truly lost one of its good guys. Patrick Collins, dead at age 40. And we'll see you next week right here on the Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest.
Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest, the weekly national report on thoroughbred racing, has been brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By the Breeders' Cup, racing's $10 million championship. And by the Illinois Department of Agriculture, promoting Illinois registered horses year-round. Travel arrangements furnished by Delta Airlines. Every day, Delta and the Delta Connection offers you more than 4,000 flights to more than 250 cities worldwide. At Delta, we love to fly, and it shows. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental.